Greetings everyone, it's Dave. Welcome in. It's time for modules 5 and 6. In the next 2 weeks we're going to be finishing out the formal elements. We're going to be talking about some of the more minor elements. We've already covered line, space, and color, and now we're dealing with things like motion, time, scale, proportion, unity, balance, and focal point. I think that's everything. But we also have, in the next 2 weeks, a really great movie. It is called Who the F is Jackson Pollock? And it's about this lady, Terry Horton, who purchases a painting at a thrift store in Southern California, and she buys it for like $5. Well, someone tells her that, hey, that looks like a Jackson Pollock painting. She doesn't know who that is, but the documentary basically traces her pathway of authenticating this painting because today she's asking $50 million for it. So, again, a really fun documentary, and I can't wait to tell you about it. So we're going to head over to the Canvas site. I'll walk you through modules 5 and 6 in this video. Alright, here we are on the Canvas site. I'm going to scroll down to module 5 first. And here we've got our video that you're watching right now. We'll head into the introduction. I kind of already told you what the week is going to look like. But for this week, make sure to know the 4 ways that artists can depict movement in drawing and painting. Consider how important authorship is in relation to the price of an artwork. The idea of Terry's painting is at a thrift store, it's worth $5, but in a gallery setting with the name Jackson Pollock associated with it, it's worth $50 million. You want to understand the concept of provenance, the idea of who has owned a painting, and decide whether or not Terry's painting is or is not real. This week we do have a discussion board, and we also have journal number 5. So our only lecture for the week is Motion and the Illusion of Motion. We've got the study guide underneath, and then we've got the further exploration section. So we have a little bit of information about nude descending a staircase. We'll talk about that during the lecture, but this is a great video. We also talk about kinetic art, and that's what Metropolis 2 is. And then we have a little bit from Jackson Pollock here. The only video that we have of Jackson Pollock is by Hans Nemeth, and it's about a 2, maybe 3 minute clip of him painting. So it's really quite an interesting video. Lousy music, please be warned about that. Something that does not have lousy music is the movie Pollock. This came out in the year 2000. I recommend watching it. It was up for Best Picture that year. Most of the actors in the film were up for Academy Awards, including Marcia Gay Harden, who won for her role as Lee Krasner. And then here is a little segment from the film as well. But again, something I suggest watching once we're done with this semester. This is just the trailers for the film and then the segment from the film. So definitely check that film out if you get a chance. We'll head back to the modules here. The documentary is really important. I would watch that early in the week, and normally I suggest breaking it up into 2 parts. I'm not a person who watches documentaries all the way through on one sitting, so right around the 40 to 42 minute mark there's a nice area for a break, and then just come back and watch it the next day. That's how I would do it. That's how I've done it in a classroom situation. So you just open the page here, you click the button, and it'll start playing. I believe it is closed captioned twice, so you just click the CC button and that will remove one set of closed captions. The movie guide is really important. I'm going to open that up right now, and that's going to walk you through the main characters such as Terry Horton, Nick Carone, Ben Heller, and so on. This should be in order of appearance in the film. You'll write down some information about these characters, and then also, do you think Terry's painting is authentic? The documentary debates scholarship and science, division amongst the social classes, trust with all the characters in the documentary, authorship, how much money should Terry sell her painting for, your favorite character, and what does Terry do from here. You want to fill that out as you're watching the film, because down here for Journal 5, guess what? You're going to submit it as the journal entry for this week. So there's nothing extra to do for this week. Just fill out your journal entry. That'll be submitted as journal number 5. For those of you making Google Docs for your journal entries, most of my students just submit this as a separate journal entry, just because it's easier that way than copying into a Google Doc. But I always leave that up for you to decide what you want to do. And the discussion board this week, once again, focuses on the film. So this week you're tasked with watching the documentary, Who the F is Jackson Pollock? I do hope you enjoyed Terry's story, because she is one of my closest friends, at least up until her death. And she was a wonderful person. And when you see her in the documentary, that is how Terry is normally. I want you to share your thoughts and analysis of the film. You're going to share first, do you think Terry's painting is authentic? Why or why not? You do need to answer this question. One of the worst things that you can do in a college discussion is say, yeah, it could be, but I can also see why it could not be. What you're really tasked with is just choosing one side and then supporting your choice. So we're looking more for the support that you use, not necessarily your answer. For question 2, what part of the documentary did you find the most interesting? Question 3, who is your favorite character and why? And then please respond to at least one other person in your group. Also, if you could number your responses or at least leave a space between them, I really appreciate that. That helps me get your project graded faster. Each of the questions is worth 5 points, and your reply to another student is worth 5 points. By the end of the week, I do need the original posting done, and then a reply by October the 6th. And Terry did hit up all the major talk shows during the time. This is probably 2006 and 2007. And her favorite show I don't have a picture of was actually Ellen. She was on the Ellen Show 3 times. And that should be everything for module number 5. You can stop the video now and complete that module, or hang on and I'll talk about module 6. So module 6 is associated as well with module 5. The modules quiz has 20 questions. It's going to deal with motion. It's going to deal with the documentary, focal point, balance, and scale, repetition, unity. 20 questions, 20 minutes. Up top, as you saw in module 5, we've got our video, our introduction. Introduction just reminds you that all we have to complete this week is the modules quiz, and then journal entry number 6, journals turned in at the end of this semester. We focus on unity with variety. We're going to learn 4 types of balance, and then there's also imbalance. And then we also have different ways of creating emphasis or a focal point, which is where the artist wants you to look in a painting. There's not a whole lot of further exploration sections in this grouping. These are the last of the formal elements and principles of design. So when you go into the lecture, we've got the lecture, study guide, and this is the only section that has further exploration. It's a really great video of a guy bringing some Andy Warhol material to the Antiques Roadshow. After that, our lecture on balance, study guide, emphasis and focal point, study guide, the modules quiz, and then journal entry number 6. Journal entry number 6 focuses on Andy Warhol. I'm going to have you read this document here. It has a number of quotes from him. You're going to choose 2 that you want to talk about. What you're going to do is you're just going to respond to the quotes. Remember that these are going to be your thoughts and ideas. There's no right or wrong answers. You can either embrace his art or dislike it, but the thoughts you make on the statements are your own. I would like you to do a specific format. If you could please copy and paste from the document the quote you want to write about, leave a space, and then type your response. Leave a space, do a second quote, and then leave a space and do your response. So there's 4 sections, basically 4 paragraphs for this journal entry. And that is a quick wrap-up of module number 6. I will see you shortly to talk to you about module 7 and 8.